Here it is. Hey everyone, okay, so today I'm going to be giving you some tips on concealer because why not? Why not? So these tips are designed to help you have less tragic concealer. So let's just make a start. Okay, so the first one is the wrong color. And this normally applies to using a too light concealer. Now the reason we use a concealer that's lighter than our skin tone, we're talking about underneath the eye area, is because that oftentimes there's darkness there, so it requires a lighter shade or a brighter shade. Also, if anything is recessed, so it's going in, so say you've got hollows, a concealer that is lighter will bounce the light from it, so it gives the illusion that it's coming forward. So that's the same principle with highlighters. Anything that's shiny or bright stands out. So that's why we use a concealer that's lighter for under eye areas or recessed areas. But there is the point that you can go too far. Generally speaking, 1 to 2 shades lighter underneath the eyes is more than enough. And again, with most people, for a realistic application of concealer, you paint by numbers. You apply the concealer to the areas that are dark. If you are not dark all the way around, then don't apply concealer there because you're just adding product for the sake of it or to look like an Instagram kind of pose. No thanks. Did you see that fly again? Jeremy! I'm telling you, named him Jeremy. It's quite irritating. Okay, so the next one is Wong Formula. Wrong formula. If you have very, very dry skin or very dry skin under the eyes, a liquid concealer is so much better option than a cream. And vice versa, a cream concealer is better, or a really, even a drier, more drier sort of creamy concealer is much better for underneath the eyes for oily skin prones. So try and bear that in mind because a lot of people pick the wrong formula for underneath their eyes. Just generally think dry skin, you want a very emollient liquid, and for oily skins or younger skins, you could use a much thicker and heavier cream-based, almost waxy-based concealer. So pick the right formula, it's really important. Next one, too much concealer. Now we see this a lot, and oftentimes we're wanting to copy it. The main issue is that we're copying people that are oftentimes decades younger than ourselves. So as I've spoken before, if you're going to apply a lot of concealer under the eye, there is no reason for you to apply foundation all the way up to your eye as well. There is no point. You're adding texture after texture, which is something I'll never get tired of mentioning, because the more texture you put on the skin, the heavier it's going to look. If you're going to go for it, leave this area entirely blank, or put your foundation there, do your eye makeup, let it all drop, then wipe it away, and then put on your concealer. You will thank me for it because it will look so much better. So the next one, I think, is, again, we're going back to a tip I just spoken about. Take out any excess oils from the concealer before you set it. Tissue and a sponge or a tissue wrapped around your finger, dab it onto the concealer, it will draw the oil out. So when you come to set it, it will last longer and it won't crease as much. It's very important, very important. Another one is if you're bringing your concealer all the way up to underneath your eyes, it can make the eyes look smaller. So you have to then go underneath the eye with an eyeshadow. It can be any eyeshadow you want, just a general taupe eyeshadow just underneath the eye, but that will open the eye up again and it will make a big difference because it really can close the eye in if you go right the way up to the lash line, the lower lash line. So remember what I said about that concealers in general bounce light from the skin, so they make things come forward. You never want to use a concealer that is lighter than your skin tone to cover anything on the face that's raised, spots. Never, ever, ever, ever put a concealer that's lighter than your skin tone on a spot because you are just going to that spot. You're just making sure that that spot is visible. It should be the exact same shade as your foundation. Always, always. If you find that your concealer, is just genuinely not staying in place, then you can do some of the tricks that I mentioned before, which is to spray a setting spray onto a sponge and dab that area as you go along. That will add extra setting power. And don't forget to use a setting spray, spray it directly onto a sponge after you've applied your powder and gently tap it around those edges takes rid of the powder residue, but will truly set it, and use a decent setting spray like Skindinavia. Also, it's worth remembering, because I think a lot of people use concealer because they think they have to, but if you are generally not dark underneath the eyes and your foundation is enough to even out your skin tone, including the eye area, chances are you don't need concealer, and I personally wouldn't use it. I would never use a product on the skin that is not necessary, because it's just pointless. It's a waste of product, and you know, why? It just makes no sense. Here's another little really kind of cool little tip, and I was going to say this for another video, but I'm going to just talk about it really quickly. This area here, particularly as we get older, the chin, when we're younger, there's almost always an indentation. It's very youthful, and as we get older, our chins tend to become more flat. Putting a bit of concealer right here can have the most incredible youth producing effect on the face. I'm going to talk about more tips on how to get a more youthful look with concealer and the very specific places, because very specific placements. But here, just give it a little dab, concealer a shade or two lighter, blend it in really well just in this ridge, and it just gives the face this kind of slightly more ethereal, slightly more sort of cherub-like effect. It's very beautiful. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. Now, let me know in the comment section, because there's a blurb coming at the end, so you can comment on both if you want. But let me know in the comment section what your #1 pet hate is about concealer, or if there's a question about concealer that is just so irritating, it happens to you every time. Let me know in the comment section, then I can make a video on it. See you next time. Bye-bye.